Ukrainian officials have revealed the cyber attacks that hit the country yesterday are the largest it's ever seen. The attacks happened as Putin claimed Russian forces were withdrawing from the border, but US and NATO officials remain very sceptical indeed. Sky News Washington correspondent Annalise Nelson joins us live now. Annalise, NATO basically saying there's no evidence of any troops moving from the border.
No, and to make matters worse, the evidence that they do have seems to suggest that there's actually more infrastructure being built around the border than was previously there. About 130 to 150,000 troops, but also a field hospital by the Ukrainian border has everyone concerned that the Russians aren't living up to their word. Even in an op-ed piece, the Foreign Minister for the United Kingdom, Liz Truss, says that this could all be a deliberate ploy to try to drag this out for months, to try and test the mettle of Western solidarity. But in the meantime, the meeting of defence ministers with NATO leaders has very much solidified the idea that there's still a lot of cause for concern about what's happening at the border.
We do not see any sign of de-escalation on the ground. No withdrawals of troops or equipment. This may, of course, change. However, what we see today is that Russia maintains a massive invasion force ready to attack.
That concern around cybersecurity, though, is what has so many in the US quite worried at the moment. It's not just gas prices they're watching now after these denial of service attacks right across Ukraine yesterday. Now, there hasn't been any confirmation yet provided that it was indeed Russia, but it's very much likely to be the case, and that has plenty in DC worried that something similar could happen here.
Adversaries usually try to hide their tracks, and it takes time to gather and analyze relevant information. And these types of incidents, DDoS incidents, can be particularly harder to trace. But we have also been in close touch with our Ukrainian counterparts to offer support in the investigation and response to these incidents. You may have seen the statement from Ukraine Ministry of Defense that the United States and other partners immediately reached out with support, and that some sites are coming back online.
Laura, there has been a flurry of diplomacy today, as has been the last week. There's been phone calls between the US President and the German Chancellor, but also UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, I should say, and Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison. This is not just a European issue. The focus has also turned to the Indo-Pacific, as we saw with Antony Blinken's visit, and the understanding is there's going to be £25 million worth of funding coming from the UK to help bolster security in the Australian region to make sure that we're prepared for any kind of breakdowns in security there as well.
Yeah, that pivot continues. Annalise, thanks so much.